Welcome back. They believe it is a call of duty. Regular Canadians are right now preparing to leave the safety of this country for the war zone that is Ukraine.
We have very limited time to get back home until, things get worse.
36-year-old Maxim Sliepihov has an MBA from Kyiv University. He's a warehouse logistics manager in Toronto, but on this day, his planning skills are being put to an entirely different use.
Today I went to pick up body armors with plates for the folks who plan to go with me to Ukraine within the next couple days.
Yeah, actually, we've only got a couple that are level 4 aluminum.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of this.
And the rest
1,
of them
2,
over there
3,
are black.
4, 5.
This small tactical store on the outskirts of Toronto is a long way from the front line. But for Max right now, Ukraine is always front of mind.
This is my home street.
Yeah?
Tonight. This is literally my home street. This is my brother taken.
And you're willingly going back. All right.
Of course, it's my...
Yeah, it is your home.
When your brother sent you that video and that's your home street, that's the street that you grew up on, what was that like to watch that?
I have to go home. I have brother and mom in Kyiv. She refused to leave home until I will come back. So, give me a little bit more motivation to get faster.
Are you prepared to die?
Prepared to die? I have feeling of fear and feeling of uncertainty. But when something happens like that at our home, near to our doors, basically, at our doors, every single Ukrainian will be doing what we're all doing. Finding a way to help, finding a way to get home, finding a way to win this war.
On the same day when thousands marched on the streets in downtown Toronto, calling for peace in Ukraine and action against Russia, W5 was granted access to a much different gathering on the other side of town. We've been asked not to identify the building. These are volunteer fighter sign-up sheets for Max and others who say they are prepared to kill and to die to defend their homeland.
Well, the uniforms and stuff, we got to get money, we got to get
body armor, helmets, uniforms, and stuff like this.
They're calling themselves the Canadian-Ukrainian Brigade. They put out an appeal on a closed Facebook group to enlist just hours after Ukrainian President Zelensky announced a new international legion, calling on volunteers around the world to go to Ukraine and fight.
Всі, хто може повернутися в Україну, повертайтеся.
Everybody who can come back to Ukraine, come back to defend Ukraine. All friends of Ukraine who want to join in our defense, come now.
Її відбудувати.
A call to action punctuated by this presidential tweet offering weapons to anyone who wants to defend the country.
If somebody coming to our home, I'm sorry, but we're at home. Whatever we're doing is right. We're trying to protect our families, our, friends, and the wood.
And thousands are answering the call. At this border crossing from Ukraine into Poland, there's one line of those fleeing the war, and another line for those prepared to walk right into it, including 35-year-old Eric Krieger from Minnesota. He has no military experience.
I'd rather professionals do this instead of me. I'm terrified. I know that there's a decent chance that I'll be killed by somebody who's better armed and trained than me.
Ukraine's president claims his international legion already has 16,000 foreign volunteers. The Canadian-Ukrainian Brigade has just created this website, promising to help those wanting to get to the front lines, to join the resistance.
I must fight Russia, it's a natural.
He's 60 years old, a grandfather, and now volunteer soldier. On this night, Stephen is getting on a plane for Poland and then making his way to his 83-year-old mother in Ukraine.
My heart is here in Canada, and I have heart in Ukraine too.
Half your heart is here and half in
it's
Ukraine.
Very, no, but what can I do?
How will you make it from Poland to Ukraine?
Як ви зайдете від Польщі до України?
I have a listen.
You'll walk.
Walk?
You have 12 hours and then you're there.
This is the man leading the Canadian-Ukrainian Brigade.
On regular cars.
Helicopters.
And people call me non-stop. They ask me what to do. I tell them we have to go fight.
If you're wondering why his face has been blurred and his voice altered, it's because shortly after this meeting, he pleaded for his identity to be hidden, now fearful he'll be a special target for Russians if word gets out that he's organizing a contingent of Canadian fighters. Here, he's strategizing with fellow Canadian-Ukrainian Roman Chabursky.
How soon can we get him over there? Tuesday?
Tomorrow, yeah.
No, wait.
I think in a couple of days, the first unit, first battalion would leave Canada.
You're planning for the 1st Battalion to leave in a matter of days.
Yes,
And how many people would that be?
600.
600 people, you believe, from Canada will be mobilized and ready to
In a
go?
couple of days.
Are you surprised at the number of people who've reached out to you to say, I want to fight?
I'm really surprised. Regular Canadian Ukrainians that you see every day on street, in Tim Hortons, in grocery stores, in McDonald's.
They're all preparing to leave everything here
Yes,
and get on a plane.
yeah. Because I think they couldn't live life with this shame that they defend their country.
With cities in peril, bombs being dropped, fighting in the streets. He says it's not only Canadian Ukrainians who are preparing for battle, but former Canadian soldiers as well.
Just yesterday, I had a dinner and somebody called me from Canadian Armed Force. And they said, I have few guys leaving, and they're not Ukrainians. Today they left.
They left today.
Yeah, Canadians. They're not Ukrainians.
Unlike most we've met here, the leader of the brigade has battleground experience. When Russia invaded Crimea in 2014, he left Canada to join a group of volunteer fighters.
More than half men didn't have any weapon, only like shovels, small shovels, military shovels.
And then how did you get weapons?
I had to kill somebody to get the weapon. There's a lot of weapon. You have to take from enemy. In 2014, this is how we fight. We start from nothing after we had guns. And after guns, we had armored vehicles and tanks and artillery. All was captured from Russians. This is the way Ukrainians fight.
At the tactical store, Max lays out $100 bills, money donated by the local Ukrainian community. But is it enough to protect Max and the other volunteers, many of whom have never before fought in a war?
Majority of folks who in this group and ready to go, they don't have neither uniform or protective gear, nor experience of any kind. It will be basically, guinea pigs.
You said we're essentially guinea pigs.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It's exactly what we're doing right now. Nobody ever did this before.
As fighting in Ukraine intensifies, so too does the global controversy surrounding regular citizens leaving one country to fight in another country's war. It's a legal gray area. Despite the fact the Canadian government specifically warns against all travel to Ukraine, this country's most prominent Canadian Ukrainian, Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland, says she respects the decision to go and fight.
We respect people's personal choices. Yesterday, the Prime Minister explained that the situation in Ukraine is dangerous, but at the end of the day, I have profound respect for the right of every man and woman in Canada to make a choice.
Neither the Prime Minister nor the Defense Minister has directly told Canadians not to go. And there's been little discussion about what happens if they do. The reality is, volunteer fighters will have no support from Canada if they're injured, captured, or killed.
This is where the Canadian ambiguity of our political leadership, they've got to make this crystal clear, because we're talking about killing. We're talking about killing other people and potentially killing the people that are going over themselves, getting them killed.
Retired Major General David Fraser was Brigadier General during Operation Medusa in Afghanistan in 2006.
As a commander in the field, I didn't want foreign fighters anywhere near me.
Are there people in here?
Even in war, he says, there are international rules to be followed.
If I'm over there as a Canadian soldier, I got a lot of rules and regulations that I have to abide by. I don't know where this goes from a operational point of view, from a legal point of view, but most fundamentally is, what's a Russian going to do with you to capture you?
Because there are no laws of warfare to protect you.
No, the Russians are going to look at you as a mercenary, and they're going to inflict, judge, jury, executioner all at the same time.
This is essentially like a black box mission, right? I mean, it's completely off the books. The international rules that govern war don't seem to pertain to this international legion.
But even black operations, Avery, have rules. Here, we're in no man's land.
Meanwhile, for the Canadian-Ukrainian Brigade, the work continues.
The important thing is as long as we don't train people on Canadian territory, no one's gonna bug us. All right, so we're already trying to get uniforms. We got about 30 guys so far. I gotta get this insignia. We need a shoulder patch, so I've designed that.
Yep, anytime. Best of luck.
And Max, the 36-year-old logistics manager in Toronto, he's itching for news that his tickets have been booked.
You still need to get to your families, and then you need to clean up your city.
And what does cleaning up your city look like, do you think?
And make sure that there is no Russians or no people who think Russia is a friend is left on Ukrainian soil. I'm not saying about killing them, I'm just saying they shouldn't stay on Ukrainian soil.
Max says the only fear he has right now is that he won't be able to get back to Ukraine fast enough.